start. So good afternoon and welcome everybody connecting live on YouTube and on the Delta Live website. We are here for the second appointment, the second session of Designing the Future, where today we are going to talk about retail projects and the future of retail in this difficult time we've gone through. And we have again 3 guests with us today, starting with Nicolas Martin of the LVMH Group, connected with us from Paris. And we have Peter Girges of Snohetta Architects with us from Oslo, Norway, and Aldo Parisotto of Aldo Parisotto and Formenton Architects from Milano, connected from Milano, and they have 2 offices between Milano and the Venice, the Veneto area. So I think we want to start a little bit informal with a very simple question. The first question I ask to everybody is, nowadays I'm sure each one of you is working from home, mostly from home. And so I would like to start with Nicolas asking, is this much different from the way you used to in the past, or you already worked from home a little bit before?
No, it was new for me. The last 3 months I worked from home. And yesterday I came back to the office. It was very strange. And now I have to find new habits like before. But it's nice to see the colleagues again and in the physical life.
Yeah, of course, the interaction, of course, is extremely important.
Yes.
Aldo, do you feel the same about it?
Yes, of course. Today, the situation in the office is really different compared to the past. I'm now speaking from my office, my HQ in Milano. I'm very happy I'm here because we are reopened at the beginning of May, and we reduced the team. Now we are more or less in 40–50% of the people in the office, between Padova and Milano, of course. The rest, the 60%, are still smart working from home. I hope that everybody will be back in the office in September. This is my positive goal. I hope that.
Yes.
Today, I think it's very different than before the lockdown, because we manage the work in remote. We using Skype, Zoom, like now, no? I can say that in the end, I'm satisfied because we work well all the time with the staff, but we miss a lot direct human interaction. For example, when I come back in Padova, my personal experience is a very strong experience because I saw my colleague, I saw my partner with a suspect, because we use the mask, we maintain the distance, and we work in the office like a zombie. But today is really, really better. Thanks.
And what is your experience, Peter? Is Oslo the same? We saw that in Scandinavia, to some extent, there has been also different position among different countries. So
yeah.
How is it in Norway?
You know, in Oslo, it was it's very memorable the day that this city and the country began this sort of national work together to help to stop spreading the disease or the virus. And on that day, on this Friday, I remember quite clearly, we packed up everything. The next day, it was a Saturday. We said everyone to come in and get laptops and monitors and keyboards, everything that you have now in your home, to begin the home office working. It was very clear that this contribution had to come from everybody, and it was now, or for everyone, generally in Europe, I guess it's around 3 months. That we've been sort of confined and working towards this way of not spreading the virus. And in Oslo, it's very clear. And like in many cities, you see quiet streets, and you see not many people in the streets. And it certainly has changed this dynamic between people. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, pre-COVID-19, you would see traffic, and you would see people on bikes and walking. And these days, it's of course lightening up a little bit. It's loosening up, but it's still relatively quiet. Our office is opening more. We are in Oslo, 120, around 120 employees. The office is open for around 40, but not everyone wants to go back, I think, just yet.
Yeah, there is still this, let's say, skepticism to some extent.
I think so, and that's one component of it. And I think Nicholas and Aldo was saying that the routines or the habits have now formed, and the possibility and all the equipment of efficiency of continuing working of projects that maybe haven't stopped just yet, or those who will start. The efficiency of the home office has grown quite quickly, and became quite that automatic norm for many in home. I myself, with 2 kids, and my wife is also a designer, we very quickly had to adapt to this new normal for this component of time, for this moment of time.
Absolutely, but I wanted to ask you, there are, of course, when we speak about a disease, there's nothing positive, but I think that it has shown some positive effect on our planet. And do you think that, this getting rid of CO2, less traffic, and do you think that this is something that is short term, or because of the pandemic, or do you think that it will speed up a change of behavior in the people?
Shall I? I mean, for
yeah,
myself?
please, yes,
Yeah.
Peter.
For sure, I think that this will certainly have some degree of an effect on what we do in the future for travel, for example. We were very quick, especially in Europe, to take a day flight. A flight in the morning, the first flight out, and the last flight home. This would probably be reconsidered. Saving of money, saving of thinking of the environment. The equipment has grown to be much more efficient, and that equipment of video conferencing, where you can do it, audio equipment, camera equipment, that's going to give us this really strong opportunity to evaluate those very quick trips. Of course, nothing will ever replace being together in the same room, or having a lecture like we're doing now with, on a stage where we can discuss and talk and see reactions of people. It's quite peculiar, but very special and very empowering that we are able to make the best of this scenario. Absolutely, make the best of what we can do out of it.
Absolutely. Nicholas, what is your opinion about it?
I think that's right. We have the choice. Everything we do, we have the green choice and the other one. But I don't want to make an opposition between the economic growth and the environment. Really, we don't survive, and we don't have the environmental point of view when we stop everything and we are facing this horrible and dramatic crisis on the social side and on the economic side. So my dream would be that we make this sustainable development, aligning the need of the nature and the economic growth. That's what I'm working for.
Well, actually, LVMH started this program of Life in Store, which is
yes,
very, very close to this idea of sustainability, yes. And you have a policy which is very strong about that.
It's more than 28 years now that we work on this field. And really to stop everything during 3 months is not the solution to the climate change. We have to find new way of thinking, new way of behaving, like Peter said, on the travels, for example. Plus new technologies like you are providing at Delta Light to save energy and make more eco-design buildings. This is very important and very interesting for the future.
And Aldo, you are working in a county which is not really so well known for sustainability, energy saving.
Yeah.
So, but is this also felt so strongly in Italy? And how is your office thinking from that viewpoint?
Yes, we need to push in this scenario because the positive point of this lockdown is exactly the health of the planet, because I'm really surprised to see the nature in a very short time, like only a few weeks or a month, was able to take back its space. Is fantastic. The benefit for the health of the planet was big and visible for all the people, because we can see a clean sea, clean river, and better air. I hope that is a good opportunity to think about green policies for the planet breath. Also in Italy, for this reason, I think. First of all, the traffic of airplane and the big ship must be reduced, of course. We will travel less because we understood in this lockdown that the many business travel are not necessary today. This is one example, because we are meeting together very comfortable in the office. It's very cheap, no trips anymore. And we can do a virtual meeting. Is a pleasure. In the future, this is more sustainable for planet. I think is better.
To discuss more in depth about the retail, there has been a reopening of store also in Italy very recently with different health and safety measures. Do you think that this will impact the retail experience on a longer terms, even after this difficult time? So some of these measures will become permanent, or will be just a temporary solution?
No, depends. Some part are permanent, some part I think is better in the. We need a time, because of course the shop experience will be different today for customer, because we lose the human contact with the shop assistant, and it is less natural, of course. We can see today out to the shop, the line outside the shop, temperature control, sanitizing, we maintain the distance. We will change the pleasure of the shop experience with this policy. But I remember very well when after 11 September, I think you remember or remember that, no? After 11 September, we changed the way of travel, no? But today, it's quite normal to go in the airport 1 hour before for security reasons. We don't care anymore about that today. For example, during the lockdown, in my experience, is a nice experience. I received from my retail client a request to design a sanitary totem for mask, gloves, to be installed in the shop, no? And they asked me, of course, a beautiful object to integrate in the store, in the beautiful store, in the luxury store. In the future, this type of fixture, from my opinion, will look normally and integrate in the architecture, like is a fire equipment, something like that, no?
Yes. And Peter, yeah, yes, absolutely. Very interesting comment. And Peter, what is your point of view regarding this?
Yeah, I mean, to build a little bit on what Aldo was saying, major events change the way we think. Any sort of major social event that we go through globally, that we understand deeply, changes and we react to it. We have a reaction in order to provide comfort, to rethink, to be innovative. So all of these components, even if you think for cars, for example, when airbags came, or power steering, or disc, all these sort of components to the inventions that man has made, we have added to improve, to make more comfortable, to make more sustainable. So I think all these components for sort of being clean or preventing the spread of any sort of disease, for giving comfort, for psychological comfort even within the retail environment or public spaces. Components of this will be innovative design that give us opportunities to feel comfortable, to be in these places once again. It is a certain shock, and I think you know, we individually, even myself, you know, you go into these places where you went to quite normally, and you hesitate slightly, but you go through a series of new habits, new rituals. Maybe if it's anti-bac spray on your hand, or maybe you wear gloves, or maybe the mandate to have a mask, or you know, all these new components, these new ways of being are changing the way we act in public. The distance, for example, that will change. Everything is in sort of flux and in fluid now, and in fluid motion. So I feel that we are certainly learning something, and we will certainly adapt, design, and create to appear again in public together for example, retail, for concerts, for public gathering, you know. And you can see, for example, in around the world, certain moments, certain events look beyond this exact fear of this disease. So when you see the protests, for example, it's counteracting what's going on. It makes you realize our voice of humanity, of social opinions matter and change. So we will, I'm sure, be back in a retail environment to, in one way or another, you know.
Just sure, making sure that our voice is still there. So moving away from the annoyance of these measures. I'm saying the annoyance between brackets, of course, but feel it more normal in our everyday life. Nicholas, no, what is your opinion about it?
Just I share my sadness to not to shake hands as a Latin person, or to make hug or kiss the friends. That's the new thing for me, but we will get adapted to it, and we have to be creative, as said Peter and Aldo. But we will make it. We are already doing some new processes and new selling ceremonies in our stores. And I think, yes, it will be a permanent thing. And we have new ways of welcoming our clients, also with VIC appointments or specific events with fewer people.
So you're trying to become more creative in the way you are welcoming your guests, your clients.
Yes.
And keep it human to some extent, but at the same time, you know, not being, respecting the rules of the distance. No?
Yes.
But I wanted to ask you, of course, with this time of a store being closed, we've seen worldwide a rise of online buying, which started to be even growing even faster than before. Do you think that this will bring to one day to reducing the number of physical stores in the market, or shrink the space dedicated to physical buying in the stores?
We don't think so. We have this brick and mortar strategy for a long time ago, and in the luxury business, the emotion and the experience inside the store is not comparable to something on a website. We have all bought our stuff through e-commerce during the past 3 months, but I think it's going in parallel, the growth of e-commerce is clear for LVMH. And with the arrival of Ian Rogers, it's more and more true. But we think more as an omni-channel strategy, where you have a seamless experience from the app of the brand or the website through the physical store, where you experience something very special for you, like customization or tasting fragrance or various experiences that we can provide to our customers.
So the experience, the experience that you can live in a physical store is something that it will be unreplaceable.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Aldo, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I think we need both, because of course the world retail is already changing from many years ago. And I have personally one interesting example, because more or less 12 years ago, we designed a very big luxury multi-brand fashion store in Italy. This is close to Venice. And after 10 years, the same client, our client, give us a new project, a big logistic hub for e-commerce business. During the lockdown, its business increased more or less 40%. February, March, April. I think that some traditional multi-brand store will suffer or may be closed with this scenario. This is a bad scenario, or this is a shame scenarios. But probably in the future will be easier for a big brand, because the brand, they need the retail space to show the storytelling of the brand. A real destination for emotional experience to create a good feedback in a customer mind. We need, I don't think in the end that the e-commerce kill the traditional shopping. We need to do a shopping experience today.
Correct. Yes.
But you're making, you see a difference between single brand and multi-brand then, in what you're saying?
Yes, of course, because single brand, they have more resources than multi-brand. That's also a question. And in the shop, the mono brand, they can explain the storytelling of the brand. They need to explain all the philosophy of the product and collection too. Yes, I think it's more strong.
It's a stronger position.
The stronger position. And the shop today is like a showroom. They need a feedback and the big and the nice experience to the customer. This is the scope. Maybe we need the retail on the street too.
And Peter, what is your opinion about this?
Yeah, I think that one doesn't eliminate the other. These two components are certainly working hand in hand for people to have a full experience, you know, a complete experience. And what the internet, for example, does, or online shopping does, it gives you sort of after hours continuity of a brand. It gives you it when you want it, you know. What's always so powerful is being, of course, together, reality, a sensorial approach, and a space, a physical environment will complete that sensorial desire that we as people require, you know. So at the moment, you know, you can imagine that the internet is the lifeblood for this cycle that we're in for a retail space. It keeps it going. It keeps you informed. It connects to those who are interested in all these variety of products. You know, you will have at one moment the retail spaces will thrive again, and there'll be new and innovative ways of inviting or being together in those spaces. If it's specifically invited, if it's events, you know, the one will certainly not take away or be the sort of the elimination of the other, for sure. It's the desire too of these brands, I can imagine, of stores, of spaces, of companies, to have strong both space, real environment, and digital environments.
Sure. I pass the microphone to Giulio because we have a very active audience today. So we have received an interesting question for you, Nicholas. One moment.
Okay. Nicholas, if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. COVID-19 arrived as a tsunami impacting the whole world. It forced retail business to move very fast, closing down shops, shifting focus to online, etc. How did it go in a huge operation like LVMH?
How did that go to the?
Yes, he's asking how did it go in a huge operation like LVMH? How did this happen? So moving, very fast, having a fast reaction to this situation. So how did this impact LVMH business?
We can say in continuity with what Peter said. The two worlds, the e-commerce and the physical worlds, are not competing each other. The e-commerce was there before last year, and when we had to close the stores, it was really bad for revenues. You have seen the first quarter revenues dropping. But the e-commerce was in parallel to support the success of the Maison. But all the teams, they had to face this like in all companies.
And let's say when the situation went back to normal and
Yes.
you open again the shop, how was the reaction of the people working in your space? They were a little bit, facing a new situation. How did they react?
I'm really proud of the teams inside our group, because in each Maison, the store planners, the facility managers, they have done days and nights to reopen in a proper way with all the accessories and the stuff described by Aldo. They managed to make it, and now we reopen, and the business can recover. But it was really hard for everybody in all the Maison.
Of course.
Yes.
Aldo,
Yes.
one question for you. At the moment, there is a very big talk in the industry about what this word, the demalling. So let's say the dismissal of the shopping mall, or the reduction of the space of a shopping mall, which are considered big aggregation points and by definition automatically a potential infection point. What's your opinion about this demalling process? Is something that you feel it will happen?
Yeah, no. No, my personal opinion, I prefer a traditional retail on the street to the shopping mall, because you enjoy in the same time a double experience. Do you shopping and exploring the city in the same time. For example, European city is a big pleasure like this. Of course, in the country where the climate is extreme, very cold, hot, warm, like the weather in Emirates or in the North Europe, malls are necessary. But one interesting challenge for architects is design a different shopping mall today. That can be the new human scale. Otherwise, open air shopping mall can be better and healthy alternative to the mall, to the traditional mall. This is my opinion.
And Peter, what do you think about it? Of course, Norway is one of those countries where in some period of the year, the temperatures are very low. And so referring to what Aldo was saying, what do you think about it?
Certainly, the shopping mall needs to reinvent itself. Like many experiences for us people, we we find it to be coming to a point, a certain threshold, where it has to mature in a new direction. And so I think the diversity of what a shopping mall can become, what can be there, what are you invited to do there, and what events take place in these malls, not just simply sort of replicating a city in a controlled environment, which, you know, it will never be as successful as being on a city street with the life and the visual sort of qualities that are, and the physical qualities that are in a real city street. So this replicating of, you know, a covered and controlled environment, which what a mall had sort of become, is certainly phasing out in many ways. And the idea, for example, I wasn't too long ago, well, now it's long ago, in Los Angeles in a fantastic open air shopping center. And this is true. These give you a whole other experience of being with people, of seeing the life of a city unfold, day and night, cold and warm. You reinvent the idea of the mall, and you create a new attraction for people to spend their time. So I think it will happen for sure. Maybe we'll be a part of some good project, of course. That would be great. And the reinvention of it is certainly something strong to discuss, you know.
And Nicholas, of course, your group have you know, stores in all the biggest malls, particularly, you know, referring to what Aldo was saying before. In some country, malls are a city by themselves, and so how do you perceive this within the strategy of the LVMH group? Is mall still a very important part of what you want to do in the future, or do you think that this demoling perception will become reality?
I don't think there will be a demoling phenomenon. Really, the people especially in tropical or hot climates, they spend the 1 or 2 days in the weekend inside the mall. It's not only for buying, it's also to meet friends, to have lunch, etc. So it's like a mini city. And what Aldo and Peter explained, it's the connection to nature and to the outdoor that is the next step. But I think the existing mall will reinvent themselves. There's a competition between them inside the same big street of Singapore, Hong Kong, or Beijing, and they are doing the best to attract the people. And maybe the architects, they have a lot of work for the future, and Delta Light as well, to make the physical stores and the new malls. We will have plenty of jobs to come.
And of course, in the pre-COVID time, there were very important events like big fashion show, Milano,
Yes.
New York, Paris,
Yes.
etc. And we have noticed that during the period, of course, everything was stopped.
Cancelled. Yes.
So how will we go back to that situation? Because I imagine that for the fashion industry, it's very important to have this type of event like the fashion show, the fashion week. How do we go back to that?
I think the Maison, they are reinventing, like the first question we shared together. We have to reinvent a lot of things, and these physical events, they will not have the same scale. But the Maison are thinking about new types of events, but we cannot make everything via Zoom. We have to touch, feel, and have this pleasure, this emotion with the high quality products that we provide to the customers. But a picture of a watch is not a watch. It's like the Magritte painting. You have to be there and you have to feel, and it's an exceptional chance to be part of these small events. Maybe it's a way to reinvent this.
So you have given us hope that we're going to see still this beautiful model girl and boy walking on the catwalk in the future. This was my hope, but you know, you.
But remember the Christian Dior fashion show after the Second World War. It was very small and it was beautiful and a crazy innovative designer has done new dresses just after the Second World War. So I think it's our designers that will take this as an opportunity. It's a shock, it's a stress, but after that there's hope, there's creativity, and we will make it.
And you know, this is more question for Aldo and Peter. We start with Aldo, but so you're both working on a retail business, which is not only fashion. So you do other things like cosmetic, food, beverage, and more. Do you see a similar approach to what Nicholas has described, or you see something different?
A little bit different maybe, because in the food and beverage, like a cafe, restaurant, and not only the shop, we need a new distance. So we must design bigger and different space for one reason. We must ensure people feel and relax and comfortable when enjoy the dinner out, for example, with the same pleasure as before, no change. The big challenge for me is to maintain a high level of experience in the project inside the shop in this new scenario, because this new scenario is quite different.
And Peter?
Yeah, you know, maybe to think about it in the way of the event, you know, these major events that happen, that force us in the, you know, in these creative or design industries, is to react contextually and to react with this honesty and the spirit of innovation, so that we can create long-lasting design and long-lasting spaces or buildings or products. That this is not just for immediately right now. You know, I think what we're doing, what we're all going through globally, this is what we are going to take from this will stretch throughout time. And we're going to use our past experiences to create something innovative now. We're going to take the current experiences to create something innovative now. So for example, one type of project that we're doing quite a bit of, and this is also pre-COVID, is cabins, or within hospitality design, right? So hospitality design can stretch from, you know, a 500-room hotel tower to an individual or a small cabin. And so even, you know, outside of our work or of design, you see this boom in Scandinavia of wanting to have a little piece of land, have a cabin, be close to nature. At the same time, you're also, you know, farther away from large groups of people. So there's a distancing there, but your experience is bold. Your experience is strong. You could be with family, with friends, the numbers increasing. And like Aldo's saying, there's a high level of experience in this. And so we can focus on creating an innovative, memorable place for, whether it's for a private person or for, you know, a developer of sorts who understands that people are still desiring to move and travel, to see the world, to be alone, to go away from their everyday. So it would happen from...
We haven't lost our curiosity.
Not at all, you know? And I say that's why I think we could all agree that, you know, this moment will change something for us. But our wish to be curious and to develop and to innovate as human beings are is continuing, and it's of course there's extreme sadness and potential of what is going on. But I think those who will inspire the next generation and be positive about what's going to be the sort of the future, and to keep a focus on that, will show that this is we're reaching a new milestone for where we are going in the future.
Thank you. I will start with Nicholas, since you are, responsible for lighting within the LVMH group. So I would like to ask you a question about lighting specifically. Do you expect any changes in integration of lighting in future retail projects? It can be from different angle. Can relate to design, control, technology, innovation, yes, whatever you feel more appropriate.
It's linked also with what we said about the connection to nature and to the outdoor, the sunlight. I want to be provocative, Danilo.
Please.
The best lighting product is a window.
Yes, true. The best lighting is the one of the sun, of course, but
yes.
We also have artificial lighting because sometimes we need it as the only with it.
After, in the evening, our job together with you at Delta Light is to fill the gaps and provide the best color rendering and contrast on the products, on the inside spaces. But for the environment, yes, my vision is that we will have more controls and sensors, and the lighting system, the lighting architecture will be more smart and adaptive to the natural sunlight, just to fill the gaps and spend less energy.
And do you think the technology in general, not only about light, will go to a more touchless or still on a touch scenario?
You have to know that the most of the failures are between the screen and the chair. So it's the human that makes the mistakes. It's not the computer. So always you forget to turn off the light, or you put the air conditioning at 16 Celsius. So yes, the environment goes with more automation and more smart stuff inside the building. I believe that.
Okay, Aldo, what do you think about this subject? How do you see this?
Yeah, this subject is very important for us because lighting. I am an architect, I am a retail designer and interior designer. For me, in architectural, light is one of the most important material of construction, because it is the only element to create emotion and scenarios with light. With light, you can underline some detail of interior, play with material, animate the volume, create a really emotional space. It is fundamental to generate more dramatic or soft atmosphere. I play with light, of course. The light for me is the art of design approach. For example, for me, the good light in architecture can improve a project. The bad light in architecture can destroy a project. I think so. And about the technology, what can I say? In my retail project, of course, we are used the consulting of the light designer. I don't like to play with technology, but I manage and I drive the concept of lighting, and my consulting use the technology for create a better scenario, for explain my better idea of architecture. This is my point.
And you foresee a touchless, an increase of touchless technology, or you still think that the touch is going to be, something also for the future, considering that nowadays, wherever you touch, you can leave your mark, and it's not really the best thing to do at the moment.
No, I don't understand. Sorry. Really.
No, do you think that the technology will still remain on a touch, not touch, or touch? Because nowadays touching, you leave bacteria to some extent.
No, of course, of course. They not touch, maybe. Yes, of course, it's better than touch at the moment. Of course, yes.
And Peter, what is your opinion about this future lighting technology in retail?
It is like Aldo is saying, of course, it is the core of so much of the beginning, of the start of how you experience objects, retail spaces, places. The light will give you an opportunity at night to be alive when naturally it would be the moment to be asleep or quiet. So light sort of keeps you moving in many ways, and so it is a core component of creating and sharing spaces or objects. The technology will give us an opportunity for sure to animate, control, and play with light in physical spaces. So this is certainly again, as far as the usefulness of this technology, it will certainly allow light to be maybe have higher aesthetic levels or aesthetic levels. It certainly could create some humor, as well as making it sort of a strong tool. And with the technology of lighting, making light last longer, this is again a strong component for us in the sort of a sustainable way of looking at how we can use light in spaces. It's an attraction. It's always been. I grew up in just outside of New York City, and when you imagine cities at night, they're spectacles, and so it will continue for sure that we desire this. To desire the light in the night.
Sure. And okay, there are several questions from the audience, but we have a very short time, so I would like just to conclude with some final thoughts. We've gone today also deeper in the subject, so I would like to conclude with some final thoughts or wishes that you would like to share with our audience, starting with Nicholas. Any wishes, any idea you want to share with our public for the future? Apart from buying more LVMH product, of course. That's.
We spoke a lot about the virus today, and we are all impacted in our psychology, maybe in our families. And really, I want to say it's not environment or business. The choice is not there. What we learned with this crisis, and we slow down, all of us, and we can think when we are slow, and we can see that there's a lot of care to the others. We have seen a lot of good things happening to support the others during the crisis. So I think it's really positive at the end. And in Chinese, crisis means something also good for change. So I'm looking forward to what's coming out. And our designers, like we said, they love constraints. You can start architecture from the land, from the countryside, from the orientation of sun, and these constraints they are good for the future.
So you think that the good spirit
yes.
that was brought out will stay?
Yes. 2 words: care and share. For me, it's this, and we have to be positive, and it will be good at the end.
Thank you for this very positive message for the future. Aldo, what do you think about it?
Yes.
What is your message to the world?
First, I'm agree with Nicolas to the message, and I give you a very short pillow about that. I would like to share a positive optimism too for this restart after the pandemic, and a wish to leave egocentrism. For me, is a bullet point. Is a big bullet point.
Okay, so try to be thinking more about the others, like
Yes.
it happened during this
Absolutely.
difficult time where everybody, was helping the neighbors and the friends and
Absolutely.
relatives. Peter, are you also spreading a positive message to the audience?
Absolutely, and I think
We are very optimistic today, so that's
Why
a
not?
good thing.
Why not?
Absolutely, that's a good thing.
I think events like this, moments like this, really are self-defining to show the true spirit of what we all know to be one of the most valuable things for us as people, and that is to be there for one another. And you see that in the closest quarters of it. We couldn't be distracted by the speed and the pace of everyday life. So we looked to our neighbors and we spoke with our neighbors. Even at a distance, we talked to them longer. We asked them if they needed anything. So you do that as an invitation of peace, of humanity, of care. And I think even though there's, of course, a lot of suffering, a lot of uncertainty, we did look close to one another, to help one another, to ask how you are doing, and to mean it, and to wait for that response, and to be someone who listens, or to be someone who shares a good story, or make someone laugh, or help with buying food. For sure, this has brought out the certainly so much good spirit in us all. So I think those are we will remember this and take that and keep it as a sort of a marker of what this moment actually was as well.
Yeah, for sure, it was an experience that has to bring something good out of us, and possibly, keep it for the future. That's the message that all of you are giving to the audience. So I'm very thankful to all of you. Thank you, Nicolas. Thank you, Aldo. Thank you, Peter. It's been a nice talk today. And I wish to remind everybody that next week on the 16th, we're going to have the third session, which will be about hospitality. So again, designing the future for hospitality, again, with three important guests like we had today. And then we're going to have on the 23rd, the last one about the future of residences and homes. But I have a little surprise. Maybe we're going to have then, we will add a fifth chapter, but
Good.
we will see. We will see.
Thank you, Danilo, for organizing this. It's very interesting, very good for Delta Light, and very interesting.
Thank you very much. It's really a pleasure. I have to thank you for your availability. And of course, I thank everybody who had the patience to stay online and listen to our nice conversation. Thank you, and enjoy, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.